Today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of running a front mount intercooler versus a top mount intercooler. Today we have both of my vehicles, my 2017 STI and the 2018 Forester XT, which utilizes the same engine that is in the 15 to 21 FA20, the WRX. And there's a hot debate on which one is better and which one is going to introduce more or less lag. And why don't you start us off?
Sure. So one of the reasons that Subaru actually went with a top mount intercooler was because of rally purposes. The more stuff you have in the front of a car when you're rallying, the more stuff that's going to get hit by rocks. But the problem is that when you try to go to a top mount intercooler, you run into several limitations. First of all, you're having to actually direct the air very differently than you would on a front mount. Front mount intercooler, the air hits it just like it would hit the radiator. Straight ahead, goes right through, and you have all that frontal area that you can use. Top mount intercooler, where does the air go in? Well, on this car, you can see it goes through this ducting right here. That's right here by the grill. Some cars will have a hood scoop on top. Has to go through this ducting over here and down into this, I'm not sure you can even see it on the camera there, this little teeny intercooler here.
It's very small.
It's maybe 16 inches across by maybe 10, 12 inches. It's very, very small. Now, that doesn't mean you can't put a bigger top mount intercooler in. Inherently, a top mount intercooler, there's gonna be less space for that underneath the hood, which means less ability to reject heat, right? So you've got the disadvantage of having poor air path versus a front mount and smaller size versus a front mount for a given engine configuration. There are advantages though. It's a much shorter path for the air to travel, right? So we have far less tubing. Over here, we've probably got 8-9 feet of tubing between the turbo and the throttle body and the intercooler, right? Here, it's maybe 1 to 2 feet. So you're gonna have to fill a lot less volume to build boost on the top mount car versus the front mount car. How much? We'll talk about that in a second. One of the biggest drawbacks for a top mount intercooler, even if you could have the same size intercooler and have a proper hood scoop, get the best airflow, is it's sitting right above all your hot components, right? So especially when you're idling the vehicle, you're not moving forward, all the heat from the turbo, from the exhaust manifolds, everything else is rising up and heat soaking that intercooler, which means that until you get moving again, you're gonna be suffering from much higher intake temperatures and a big reduction in power.
A lot of the EJ guys hate top mounts, considering the location of the factory turbo is right here. It's just really, really hot. However, on the FA20, the FA24s, you can make the argument for staying top mount. I would still go either way.
Yeah, and so then the question becomes is, what's your deciding factor, right?
Yeah.
And I can give you kind of my opinion from what I've seen. Roughly, when you're going over 400 to 450 wheel horsepower, you probably want to start thinking about a front mount at that point. Just because it's hard to get enough intercooler underneath the hood and have enough airflow area to make it happen. If you're just talking about a hood scoop, you pull that hood down right there. If you have a top mount, even with a hood scoop like that, that's not a lot of frontal area, right? Look at that area there versus the area that intercooler is exposed to down there. Even if you had that intercooler on top of the engine, far less airflow, right? So
less surface area.
Right, less surface area. So if you're gonna be above a certain horsepower level, it's gonna be hard to reject that heat. Now, if you get a little bit bigger, more efficient turbo, maybe you can do a little bit more power because you're gonna have less charge temperature, right? But somewhere in that 400 to 450 horsepower range is when you should start considering going to a front mount. Start weighing the pros and cons and saying, is this what I need to do? Anything below that, especially if you're running ethanol, top mount's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And a top mount is going to have an advantage in terms of spool up.
Responsiveness.
Yeah, it's gonna be more responsive because you have less area to fill. Now, I've heard some people say, oh, it's only gonna increase your lag by 1 or 2 tenths of a second. It's only gonna add 100 or 200 RPM to the spool. You're not even gonna notice that. If your car's pretty fast, yeah, you will notice the difference. So a 500 horsepower Subaru probably does, let's say 60 to 80 in third gear in about 2 seconds, right?
That's fair.
Reasonable, right? Yeah, somewhere in that range. So if it takes me 2 tenths of a second more to build boost, and I'm racing against the guy who has the top mount and I've got a front mount, that means in that 2 tenths of a second, that guy has already put 2 or 3 miles per hour on me, right, of acceleration. It may not sound like a lot, but that's already walking away. Now, hopefully you make enough power with your front mount that once you're spooled up, you can actually pull that back, but it is a noticeable difference. Now, if we're talking 600, 700, 800 horsepower, the difference in power between a top mount and a front mount is going to be more than make up for the spool delay.
Yeah, and something else, 2 things I want to say about the front mount intercooler specifically on my car. We don't have any data as far as dyno sheets for this car specifically, because from even when I first brought this STI into when I was a customer, it's always been on a front mount intercooler. So I can't ever say it's spooled up faster or slower. And the second thing is, and you can talk about this a lot more, especially for whatever reason on the VA generation STIs, a lot of guys will have front mount intercoolers, but they'll have their front license plate blocking the airflow, and
or they want to cut the bumper.
Right, they don't want to cut the bumper. This bumper, a lot of people ask me what bumper this is. This is just the OEM bumper, and it's just been cut up drastically. just to show the entire core. And I mean, this intercooler, this is a Grimspeed front mount intercooler, for those of you wondering. This is not an ETS one, but this intercooler has supported from 300-ish wheel to, what, like that one pass, 800 wheel?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's pretty impressive.
And I think it's very important to point out too, just how much of the area is covered if you don't cut your bumper.
Right.
The normal bumper comes down to about here. So about half that intercooler is covered up at that point, right? Now, that does not mean that you're losing half the benefit of the intercooler. You're still going to be able to generate a cooling effect there just by radiating heat, even without airflow through it. It's still going to act as a heat sink, but it's not going to be nearly as effective as if you cut the bumper. So if you're not planning to cut that bumper and you're in that 400 to 450 horsepower range, maybe it doesn't really matter at that point going to the front mount. Maybe the top mount's better for you.
Yeah, and you know, one thing we have not talked about, and I can speak on it more as an owner, this guy's been tuning Subarus for 20 years. Yeah, he's never owned one, right? Funny enough. But the cost. We have to talk about the cost. So typically on a upgrade top mount intercooler for any of these platforms, EJ or FA, it's gonna run you somewhere between, I'd say, $600-ish to $900.
Unless you're going Process West, right?
Yeah, unless it's Process West. Process West is baller stuff, right?
Yeah.
But a good front mount intercooler, ETS, Grimspeed, I know the older ones like Perrin, right? With the piping included and the core, it's probably gonna run you somewhere between, I want to say $1,200 to at most, even depending on the size of the core. I know ETS is up there like $2,000. So you got to think about, you know, what can you support financially, realistically, and what you want to do ultimately with the car. Because I've always said, look, if you're just driving your car around town, may not be, you know, such a big difference. But in competitive racing, where every second matters, every tenth of a second, you're going to want you're going to want to squeeze out the reg.
That's a great example too. You know, if I'm doing something like autocross, where my speeds are below 70 miles per hour anyways, and it's low speed stuff and I need that responsiveness coming off a corner, a top mount might be better for a car in that 400 horsepower range. If I'm doing roll racing, quarter mile, half mile, whatever the case, then the front mount's probably going to help me out a lot more. So one thing I think too, Alberto, that you have to think about when you're choosing between a front mount and a top mount is what's your ultimate goal with the car? Not just what venue you're going to use it in, daily driving, and anything else, but where's your horsepower goal going to be? You may be looking for 350, 400 now, but your end goal may be 600. In which case, if you've got an opportunity to put a front mount on, especially while you're doing other stuff, you can kind of combine the labor, make it a little bit cheaper, then do the front mount now, even if you're still on the stock turbo or whatever, because you're going to need it eventually, right? If you're not planning on going past 400, then don't bother. But think about that end goal before you make those purchase decisions.
If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and hype the video up. It really helps grow the channel. We're over here trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. And let us know down below in the comment section what topic you guys want to cover. It does not have to be Subaru related. We tune a wide variety of cars here. And over the last 25 years you've been in business, you have probably seen almost every car, every platform. So a lot of knowledge, not just from Mr. Shawn himself here, everybody here at Church Automotive Testing. So with that being said, make sure you guys subscribe and we'll see you guys in the next video.